We Are What We Think About, a book that helps reduce recovery time from any ailment. But before we go into this, I want to tell you what I found out yesterday and the day before. The day before, 2 days ago, I read, on social media, there was a video concerning researchers, two doctors that examined human saliva. The first doctor left a sample of his saliva with the second doctor who was examining it under the microscope. The first doctor then took a trip. The whole thing took about 12 hours until they communicated again. And the second doctor was noticing that the saliva of the person that had left for his plane trip was changing in frequencies. The DNA was changing. Sometimes it looked more relaxed, sometimes more stressed. And they found out that because of the various problems that the first doctor had during his trip, when he felt tense, the saliva changed consistency. When he felt more relaxed, the saliva again changed to look more relaxed. And even though the saliva was not in the doctor's body, but hundreds of miles away. So that was something very unusual. But yesterday, and I'll leave a link below for you so that you can see the video of this, a woman left a sample of her blood, and the doctor was looking at it under the microscope, red blood cells, and she noticed that when the woman who was sitting in the same room as the blood sample that was being examined, noticed that when the woman was relaxed, whose blood was sampled, the blood looked very nice. It was the blood cells, the red blood cells were round, evenly spaced, very nice. And when she felt that she was anxious, or sad, I should say, the blood cells formed the shape of a teardrop. They changed their shape to form the shape of teardrops instead of being round. And also when she felt frightened, they seemed to be moving faster and clumping together. But when she started praying, they turned into beautiful round spheres and also were sparkling with light. They were giving out sparkling light when she was praying, even though the blood was not in her body. It somehow had a conscious or spiritual connection to her body. And also, the blood was pulsing at the same rate as the woman's heart was pulsing. So, even though, again, the blood was not in her body, it acted as if it was part of her body. Isn't that strange? So there's a lot of things that we are still learning about the human body, consciousness, even parts of our bodily fluids, whether it's blood or saliva. Now, going into this, that's why it's very important for us to have very positive and joyful, strong thoughts. So the author of the book, Martin Bofman, the book is called About the Method of Working with Consciousness, consists of 3 steps. And we'll look at the main points of reference. Everything that happens in our body and in our life begins with what happens in our mind. Every minute, and even now, you choose how to react to this or that situation in your life. If you react to a situation calmly, you do not upset the balance within you. If something triggers you and you feel tension in your mind, then it causes tension in your body. Over time, this tension transforms into illness on a physical level. This formula for the occurrence of ailments was derived by the author of the book on health, Martin Bofman. Bofman was diagnosed with an incurable disease, and he was a little over 30 years old. The specialist gave him 2 months to live. Martin had nothing to lose and decided to experiment. The experiment was called Working with Consciousness. During this short time, he developed his own methodology for working with consciousness, consisting of 3 stages. 2 months later, Martin was examined again. For the specialist who worked with him, this day was a shock. He did not find any signs of illness in his ward. Now, Bofman was finally convinced that it was possible to part with all the sores and that everything that happened in our life and in our body begins with something that happens in our mind. When faced with various circumstances, we ourselves choose how to react to them, and we determine what to do, what to feel, what to think about. Sometimes we decide to give up making decisions, and this is also a solution. This process does not occur at any specific age. This is currently in effect. At this moment, the decision-making process in each of us in the form of consciousness in the state of spirit. The most amazing thing is that this happens long before we're born in the physical body. This condition continues through infancy, childhood, and adolescence, into adulthood, and even after we leave our biological host, our body. When our reaction causes tension, it means we make a mistake in our decision, which throws us off balance. But the normal state of our consciousness is nothing more than balance. Only when we're in balance and harmony are we able to heal, which means we must strive for this state. The harm you cause to yourself? Many of us are convinced that the causes of diseases lie in external factors. According to Martin Baughman, this prevents us from seeing the main cause of illnesses. Illnesses arise and develop due to an imbalance in our consciousness. To verify this, Baughman suggests taking a simple test. Imagine that you're walking through the forest and meet a bear. There's tension in your mind from the perceived threat. Well, now listen to your body and answer. What part of your body did you feel physical tension at this moment? You can circle this place in an imaginary circle. And what would happen if we met a bear every day? If the tension in our consciousness from some situation continues for a long time and reaches the required intensity, this negatively affects the part of the body that reacts to the tension of consciousness. This leads to the development of symptoms that reflect the harm you cause to yourself. It's important to understand that it's not the situation that causes physical illness, but our attitude towards it. It's for this reason that different people can get different results in the same situations. To feel this difference, Martin Baughman gives a sample of grapefruit. One person believes that if he eats these fruits every day, he will lose weight. Another person will think that consuming carbohydrates, which are also found in grapefruits, leads to weight gain. From here, the second person will conclude whoever eats a large amount of these fruits will get fat. So what will actually happen to a person who eats these fruits daily? And only what a person tunes into and what he believes will happen. The grapefruit example is quite harmless if you compare it with the situation that, through his own fault, Martin Baughman found himself in. He was unhappy in his marriage and lived with this feeling for a long time, afraid to tell his wife, who had a difficult character, about it. Martin wrote, "For many years I lived as others expected of me. I forcibly kept myself in an environment that made me unhappy. I did not allow myself to leave, although I wanted it most. I experienced the consequences of this stress every day. In my case, they reached catastrophic proportions. I had to find the path to salvation myself." The words you use to describe your experiences create your beliefs and your reality. Once your experience has found your belief, and it begins to create experience that confirms that the reality you believe to be true is true for you, you will begin to attract results that confirm you are right and will develop a tendency to notice the results first. Baughman spoke about his technique in the book, Everything Can Be Healed. There are 3 steps that Baughman took. The first thing Baughman did when he heard the doctor's verdict was to stop denying himself what he enjoyed in life. He did not follow any special diets and please himself with the food that he wanted to eat. And the only thing Baughman followed was a diet of thoughts. He wrote, "When a thought appeared in my mind that made me feel bad, I immediately chose another thought that made me feel better. In addition, I focused all my efforts on creating an internal belief that my illness was receding. I set a time frame for my healing at 2 months." And according to Baughman, we live as our beliefs in our reality allow us. Martin compares this reality to a soap bubble. To change your life, and including healing yourself, you need to move from one bubble to another. That is, change your reality. And for this, you need to take 3 steps. When our reality changes, natural processes occur, and they entail healing. The first step is to decide what will be true in your new reality. For example, you can decide, my new reality is filled with health and vitality. There's no place for pain and suffering in it. As evidence, Martin Bofman cites his decision, which he made at the first stage, and it sounds like this: the tumor has disappeared. The second step is to create a perception of what is happening now. At this stage, gradual progress towards your goal begins. Anticipating your success in the future, you need to record any, even the most insignificant, improvement in your well-being. At this stage, Bofman said to himself every morning, the pain is less severe than before. This reassures me that positive changes are taking place. In the case of vision, Bofman suggests this option. Now I see the letters more clearly than before. While Martin was in pain, he convinced himself that he had begun the healing process, and pain indicates that the healing process has truly begun. And whatever this man did, he convinced himself that his every action brought him health: eating, reading a book, walking, caring for loved ones. Bofman recorded any positive change and attributed to evidence to that healing is already happening. In the third stage, when the goal is achieved, you must convince yourself that healing has become real. The physical symptoms will no longer bother you. Healing must be accepted as the new normal. If a symptom was identified as a result of the examination, wait for the results of a new examination, which may show that symptom has disappeared. If the results show improvement but do not yet indicate complete healing, know that you are moving in a positive direction. You must need to devote a little more time to working with your consciousness. According to Martin Bofman, the healing process also involves the process of transforming a person's life. It's necessary to remove from your reality the stress that was the culprit for the appearance of this or that symptom. Bofman wrote, I would not have been able to recover from a fatal illness if I had not changed the ways of my existence. A person either changes something in his life or continues to suffer from his illness until he dies. He who changes his being based on the new experience gained, and it forms new beliefs. And this is from Soul Ask. So we are what we think, obviously. This is also what the Christian elders tell us. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.